Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down complex events into clear, compelling stories. All right, let's get right into it. We're diving into a medical mystery that, believe it or not, didn't start with someone getting sick. It started with a party. So picture this. It's 1976. The whole country is just buzzing because it's the bicentennial, America's 200th birthday. And the absolute epicenter of this massive party is Philadelphia. You've got parades, fireworks, patriotism just filling the streets. It's a huge, happy celebration. And right in the middle of all this excitement, you've got the American Legion holding their annual convention. We're talking thousands of members, mostly veterans, guys in their 60s and 70s all coming together. And they picked a pretty swanky spot for it, the Bellevue-Stratford Hotel. I mean, this place was legendary, the kind of place presidents and royalty would stay. So the convention goes off without a hitch. It's a great time. You know, old buddies catching up, telling stories. But here's where things take a dark turn. As these guys packed up and started heading home, something else went with them. Something deadly and completely invisible. And you won't believe how fast everything just fell apart. So, July 27th, just a few days after the convention ends, an Air Force vet dies. It's sad, for sure, but the doctors chalk it up to a heart attack. Nothing suspicious yet. But then, within a matter of days, dozens more people from that same convention get incredibly sick. By August 2nd, this thing has exploded. It's all over the national news, and they've got a terrifying name for it: the Philly Killer. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the doctors here. They were just baffled. People are flooding in with these intense chest pains. So naturally, everyone's thinking, okay, it's a string of heart attacks. But then they get the x-rays back, and it's a total shock. A healthy lung on an x-ray looks dark, right? Because it's full of air. Well, these x-rays were showing these ghostly white clouds. Their lungs were literally filling up with fluid. It was this incredibly aggressive pneumonia, and nothing, absolutely nothing they tried was working. Okay, so with the body count rising every single day, the local health department knew this was way bigger than them. They picked up the phone and made the call to the big guns, the CDC down in Atlanta. This wasn't just some local thing anymore. This had all the makings of a national pandemic. And the pressure was on. Big time. We're talking calls from the White House level of pressure. When the dust settled, the numbers were just chilling. 221 people. All sick, all linked to that one convention. And the question that was keeping everyone up at night was, what in the world is this? And can I catch it? So the CDC's best disease detectives swarm Philadelphia. It's a full-on investigation. Right away, they're thinking maybe it's a new deadly flu, like that swine flu people were worried about. So they start testing for everything you can imagine, every known virus, every bacteria. They're looking for poisons, heavy metals, weird fungi. Literally no stone was left unturned. And this is where the real terror kicks in. Every single test, they all came back negative. It wasn't the flu. It wasn't any bacteria they recognized. They couldn't find any poison. Imagine that for a second. The panic starts to build. People are asking, is this a brand new plague? Or even worse, was this intentional? Was this an attack? So the CDC goes into full detective mode. They send out thousands of questionnaires, and one single clue keeps popping up again and again: the Bellevue-Stratford Hotel. So they raid the place, scientifically speaking. They're swabbing everything: the vents, the carpets, the ice machines, you name it. And the result? Nothing. The place is clean. Which just makes things weirder, right? If the killer is in the hotel, why is it only hitting the older vets and not, say, the young bellhops breathing the exact same air? And then nothing. Months go by. The trail goes completely cold. The CDC is getting hammered in the press for, not having any answers. The hotel, this beautiful historic landmark, actually has to shut down because people are too scared to go near it. The case is basically dead in the water. But there was one scientist who just refused to give up. Sometimes breakthroughs come from the weirdest places. The turning point here wasn't in a lab. It was at a Christmas party. A CDC scientist, Joseph McDade, is there just trying to have a night off. And some guy comes up to him and basically says, "You scientists, you should be ashamed. You can't even figure out what's killing our people." Ouch. And that comment it got to him. He was so stung by it that he left the party right then and there. But he didn't go home. He went back to the lab on Christmas. So there he is, all alone in this empty lab over the holidays, and he decides, you know what? I'm going to look at those lung tissue samples one more time. Now, these are slides that had been checked and double-checked and were literally in the discard pile. But he puts one under the microscope, adjusts the focus, and he sees it. Something everyone else had missed. These tiny, faint, little red rod-shaped things. He gets this feeling, this hunch. So he tries to grow whatever is on that slide again, but he uses a totally different technique this time. And it works. The organism starts to grow. And to be absolutely sure, to nail it down, he tests blood samples from people who survived the illness. And bingo. They all had antibodies fighting this exact new microbe. That was it. The eureka moment. After months of searching, he had finally found the Philadelphia killer. I mean, this discovery was absolutely monumental. They finally had a face for the enemy. They named the bacterium Legionella pneumophila. Legionella was a nod to the American Legion victims, of course. And pneumophila, well, that's just Greek for lung-loving, which is pretty spot on, right? And so the mystery illness finally got its name, Legionnaire's disease. But, finding the killer is one thing. That wasn't the end of the story. Now they had a whole new puzzle on their hands. Probably the biggest one yet. How did this bacterium, which had probably been around forever, suddenly cause this huge, deadly outbreak in this one hotel at this one time? So the answer, it turns out, wasn't inside the hotel's AC, which is where everyone was looking. It was on the roof. You see, the Legionella bacteria just loved the warm water inside the hotel's big cooling tower. And this tower was constantly letting off this fine, invisible mist loaded with bacteria. The wind would catch this mist, and it would just sort of drift down onto the sidewalk right in front of the hotel. And here's the crazy part. Every time somebody went through the hotel's revolving doors, it created this little vacuum effect, basically sucking that contaminated air right off the street and into the lobby. And where were the veterans hanging out? Right there in the lobby. So that explains the how, right? It's a pretty wild chain of events, but it still doesn't explain the who. Why them? Why did it seem to hit the Legionnaires so hard, and almost nobody else? Well, the truth is, the bacteria wasn't picky at all. This wasn't some kind of targeted attack or a bioweapon designed to go after veterans. The bacterium's just an opportunist. It was a crime of opportunity. Think about it. The Legionnaires were, as a group, uniquely vulnerable. Most were older, over 50. A lot of them were smokers, which, as we know, isn't great for your lungs. And many had other health issues that meant their immune systems weren't at 100%. So you take all those factors together, and their bodies were just the perfect target for a bacteria that a younger, healthier person could probably breathe in and fight off without even knowing they were sick. And that's the story. It's such a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest threats aren't lurking in some faraway place. They can come from places we see every day. A hotel cooling tower, a decorative fountain in a mall, even the humidifier in your own home. Legionnaire's disease proved that a deadly killer can emerge not from some remote jungle, but right from the hidden corners of our modern cities. And it really makes you wonder, what other invisible killers are hiding in plain sight?